Slacker and the global mind manipulator. Buckle up, guys and gals, because Slacker's dog Doobie is loose again in this one. Since I've developed a well-deserved reputation for missing work on Fridays, it's a good idea this Memorial Day weekend to change my colleagues' opinion of me. And it was with that innocent intention that I decided to hit my favorite Upper West Side spot last night instead of my regular Thursday after work hangout. You wouldn't believe some of the tales I could tell about what goes on in that joint on a Thursday night. Unfortunately, I realize now that it's not the joint or the night. It may be the way I've been living my life. It was about 9 p.m. and the place was filling up with the usual suspects. Slim Slimy and his date Shimmy Shake were already dipping chips and pacing themselves with the 3-for-1 shots of tequila. Nap Happy and his boys, Sluggish Woozy and Nipsy Tipsy, had bellied up the bar and started working on a resisting arrest charge, a hangover, and some serious legal bills. But hey, who am I to judge? Besides, these are some of my best friends. By the time Susie Fluzzy showed up with Blind Blinky and his seeing-eyed dog, Dope Fiend at her side, the house was jumping. And I had to ask myself, what could go wrong on a night like this? I was with my favorite buds at my favorite spot, enjoying a 3-for-1 tequila shot night, and Doobie, my estranged radicalized Yorkie, was reportedly in hiding. Again, life felt excellent. I was just sorry it couldn't last. Right then, 2 Russian nightmares filled the bar's entry. Since they didn't look like the fun-loving types, I wasn't about to let these strangers put a damper on the evening. So I offered to buy a first round to be hospitable. When they accepted, but only wanted vodka and not tequila, I thought to myself, when in Rome, one should do as the Romans do. But what the hell? They were guests. I let it go at that. Once we started tossing back a few, it wasn't long before I felt like these humorless monstrosities were old pals. They said their names were Yuri and Sergei. They were from Moscow, working on behalf of Russian intelligence. I asked if that should be kept a secret, but Yuri just said... Sergei said that means WTF in Russian. I just said, cool, and what's up? While I was a bit toasted by now, I was able to understand they were looking for something or someone. When Yuri mentioned the word Doobie, I started praying you wanted to meet Blind Blinky's dog. Dope Fiend for a hookup, but no such luck. They wanted my Doobie. They made it clear that the Russians were now working with the FBI, CIA, ATF, Homeland Security, British intelligence Mossad, and Interpol to kill or capture Doobie as soon as possible. Doobie was hot as usual. And as usual, every law enforcement entity in the world was turning up the heat on me to help find him. Please understand, I slobbered. I've got no control over Doobie. That dog is mad crazy. I've been trying to keep a safe distance from him, his associates, and his bad influences. I said, well, that might be true, but the fact of the matter is, what Doobie is up to now, no one can be safe from his diabolical reach. Doobie has gone global. Okay. I asked. It was from satellite and drone surveillance, extremely dangerous ground-level intelligence gathering, and a lot of luck that Doobie was identified as the ringleader on a team of Ukrainian hacktivists. We have every reason to believe Doobie is planning to take control of the world's top secret global mind manipulator. Okay. I said again. We're saying, if Doobie isn't found and apprehended in the next 48 hours, he'll have the power to manipulate the will of the world. Holy shit. Once compromised, reconfigured, and focused like a laser on the world's population, Doobie could change the outcomes of elections, destroy financial markets, and trigger wars. As people begin to lose their ability to think independently, they'll eventually succumb to the global mind manipulator's irresistible auto-suggestions. When Sergei reminded me that Doobie was extremely demanding and requested my cooperation, I couldn't help but imagine what the world would be like if Doobie hadn't been stopped. The dog was evil, and that was a fact. I knew he'd never be satisfied with controlling the White House, taking down Wall Street, or nuking Canada. If Doobie ruled the world, there'd be a meth lab in every elementary school. Early teen pregnancies would be encouraged. Drinking and driving would be mandatory. All churches, synagogues, and mosques would be closed and padlocked. Doobie would do the same for all prisons and jails. There would be no more crimes because there would be no more laws. There would be no laws because there would be no one to enforce them. The cops would be the first to go. And don't even think about trying to escape. because even airline pilots will be smoking crack and shooting up heroin in the cockpits. I could see it all now. The entire world would feel like one big party in hell. So I asked, WTF do you want me to do? Doobie will be somewhere near Brighton Beach this Memorial Day weekend to test the device in the New York metropolitan area. We're sure he's collaborating with members of the Russian mafia to pull this off. So if you hear from him, please call us at this number, +1 555 555 5555. By the way, that's not the real number. They said if I divulge the real number, they'd have to neutralize me. Well, I don't know. I said, this sounds really dangerous. Remember, nobody knows Doobie like I do. What if he decides to use the mind manipulator on me? Impossible, Yuri said. You have to have a properly functioning mind before it can be manipulated. And after conducting an international search for potential subjects, your mind was the least active we could locate on short notice. You'll be fine, he tried to assure me. When they saw I still had major reservations, they offered me something they knew I couldn't resist. Yuri handed me a stack of official White House stationery. He said it could be used to write absentee notes to any employer, and they'd have to accept it without asking any questions. My eyes glazed over. I was on a mission to save the world, and I had a note from the president to prove it. To be continued.